Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this episode of the 64 Fairlane build, we're mocking up front suspension. Measured a whole bunch of different ways. At the end of the day, the rear end was actually out of square from the car, so the string measurements weren't lining up. They were when I was measuring from plumb bob to plumb bob straight forward, it was square. The problem was the rear end was offset to one side in the car, so my diagonal measurements weren't matching up. So I ended up just pulling a tape measure and everything to locate the K member in the car, and you'll see that in the video. I'll share a bunch of it. I'm kind of rambling and just kind of going on and just measuring a bunch of different ways. I dropped the plumb bob center in the rear chassis just to kind of measure from there, get an idea. So I'll share a bunch of that footage in there. Video's kind of long, so bear with me if you like that kind of stuff. I'd appreciate if you guys watch the whole thing. In the end of the video, I actually am going to show the suspension. As you can see, this side here is done. Throwing stuff around. I'm just going to kind of use this as my intro to my video to kind of explain some of the stuff. There was some sections in there that the audio didn't record, and I guess I could voice over, but I guess I just figured I'd explain it in the beginning. So the basic setup that I'm going to do is I'm going to do -1 degree of camber and anywhere from 5 to 10 positive caster for street strip application. So when I set the strut, I found the center. I basically just held it center, and then I leaned it back just a little bit. This way I have, basically I think I have about 4 to 8 degrees of positive caster that I can adjust into it. And I think with the caster camber plate all the way negative camber, the most I can get is like 1.7 degrees or something like that, which I think 1 degree is plenty. It'll work, and I'll know more when I pull strings, because that's how I aligned my last car. So, but yeah, that's basically it. In this video, I am gonna finish installing all the front suspension. I may even take some of it apart and just prime this and then put it all back together, because I'm gonna push it in the other garage for a little bit until I can get back on it. So, well, stay tuned. I hope you guys like the video. Please like and subscribe and share and all of that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Wednesday night out in the garage again. I want to try getting this K member mocked up. Got some parts laid out here. Hoping to get some of the stuff put in. Oh, first of all, look at that. I'm not wearing a hat. I'm always wearing a hat, but today I'm not. So we got our Strange single adjustable coilovers, Strange coilover kit. These are Hypercoil 14 180 or 185. I already forgot. I believe they're 180s. Racecraft Fox body style tubular lower adjustable control arms, 11.5 inches. Hopefully those work out. We're going to try them. These are the Maximum Motorsports 94 to 04 caster camber plates. There's the part number. Let's get you the part number on these Racecrafts. 32115TA00. And again, these are just the Strange Fox body single adjustable coilover setup. Okay, it's going to be another kind of episode of measure again, and maybe measure one more time. Let's try this view. Actually, yeah, you know what? Give it a shot. See how well I'm going to get my tape measure to hang on for me today. Because the other day it just kept falling off and falling off and falling off. Right there. This was just the way that I measured. I like to take multiple measurements. So I basically just hooked it right here on the front leaf spring mount from both sides. And when the factory stuff was still in there, I know I'm repeating myself, but I feel like this is pretty important. So you want to check, check, check. So I measured from that rear point and I measured to the center line of the factory motor mount when it was in the car. And for me, that measurement was 94 inches. So on both sides, it wound up being the same, which is good because that means it was squared up, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep measuring that. I'm going to get it as close as I can to that 94 inches. And then I'm going to go from there on checking it from other points. That's kind of why I want to mark somewhere on this car, underneath here somewhere, a center line. This way I can measure from the K-member back to the center line diagonally to make sure that it's all squared up in there. I think I'm thinking I am just going to drill this and bolt this thing in. I think it'll be plenty enough. We're still off by maybe a 16th. Maybe that was a little bit more than a 16th. Boom, dead on. 94. It's Saturday, about noon, back on the Fairlane. So what I'm doing is I'm dropping 4 plumb bobs. 2 off the rear end housing down to the floor there. I'll just take a piece of tape and I'll draw a dot on it. And I'll mark the floor at all 4 points. The 2 are coming off the axle housing, like I said. I got 2 coming off the K-member, going straight down. So this is how I'm going to square that K-member up. Make sure that it's perfectly square in the car. Just this down so you guys can see. I got the door open today. It's like 50 degrees out, but you know how that is. In the spring, 50 degrees feels hot, and the fall, 50 degrees feels cold. So if I mark these on the floor, what I can do is I can measure from the front straight back, and then I can also measure from the front on an angle to make sure that this thing is perfectly square. Then I'll just blaze the holes, drop the crushed sleeves in, which I'll show you here. I'll go over this again too because I don't know if I showed this in there before, but these are the crushed sleeves that drop in the frame. So basically what you do is you drill a 1/2 inch hole all the way through, straight up, and then you drill a 3/4 hole from the top only, and then you drop this in that hole, you know, throw a bolt in it to square it up, and then you weld it in the top. And if you're doing a 64 Fairlane like me, you need to make sure that you get the right sleeve, because here's a sleeve for a Mustang, you know, early Mustang sleeve. The Fairlane sleeve is quite a bit longer because the frame is taller. So when I first ordered it, they sent me these. I had to call and get these. And it comes with longer bolts also. So, well, let me, I'll show you what, I actually just went to Harbor Freight. And I bought the plumb bobs from there. They were like $2.99 each. I just bought 4 of them. So, pretty cheap, and they do the job. You put a dot on this blue tape. And I'll do this at all 4 corners. Tear the piece off. Blow the floor off. Again, they're still swaying a tiny bit, so I'm just going to do this for the purpose to show you. But I think I'm going to have to close that door up so the wind stops blowing in here. Because, I mean, you can see, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this in the video, but I'll show you. You know me, I like showing it all. See the amount of sway in that still? It's quite a bit. So I'll get these all marked up and I'll continue back. All right. So got my 4 tape marks. I gotta get a helper. Come help me. So I got my little helper, Marie, with me. Come back here, kiddo. So you see this dot? When I pull the tape measure, I need you to hold this little metal thing perfectly on the dot, like that. Okay? So let me see it. Right there. Just hold it there perfectly. Just push down on it. And make sure it stays on there. Put it dead on, kid. Remember, it's important. Be perfect. Right? Is it perfect? Perfect? If you need to take a minute, take a minute. Is it still perfect? Still perfect? Do I ask you too much? Yeah. We gotta do a crisscross though, so just keep it there. Put it right back on perfect on the outside. Just take your time. You tell me when you're perfect. You're perfect? 117. Other side. I know, I'm talking too much again. Is it perfect? We're still off. We're off by 1/4 of an inch. Let's leave it there for a second. Let me get another tape measure. Yeah, I don't know how we're off then, because we should be right on. 32 and 7/8. I got a lot. I never have too many tape measures. Yeah, maybe it needs to go that way a tiny bit, but that ain't going to change that. We should check the rear end and see if it's perfectly square. 32 3/4. I mean, it's right on. But we're off. One thing that me and Marie figured out too when we had the plumb bobs dropped is the rear end is actually a little out of square. So I had to pull from a body to measure up front to get the K-member square. And then after we get the K-member mounted and all squared up, we'll square out the rear end. It's off by like maybe 3/16 of an inch. Got it squared up in there. We're going to come in here and drill 1/2 inch holes up through here and over here. I'll probably start with a smaller bit first and then up to size. Get it through, make sure it's squared up. If you guys don't have these yet, you should check these out. These Matco Hyper Step drill bits. These things are awesome. You get a step bit on those things. The set is pretty expensive though. I want to say it was like $350 to $380, but it's a nice drill bit. So we're going to start out with, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I'm using a 7/32 bit. We're just going to center it. On the frame rail. Go through one layer. There's the first one. We drill these small pilot holes and then we can move the K-member out of the way. And just drill them out bigger and drop things in and weld them up. All right, Marie, let's get these plumb bobs off of here. Okay. And then we gotta get this K-member drop down off of here. Well, the back ones you can leave there. Leave the back ones because we're gonna use those to square that rear end up. Okay, I'll get this plumb bob off. Just gotta unstick tape off the lift. It's on top of the lift arm. Just pull it out of it. It'll probably pull it out. Now pull it out of here. Plumb bob. There you go. Keep pulling. Okay. Take the end over here. Come over here. So you just take this end like this and you hold it and then you can wrap it around your hand. Coil it up. Well, what if you get it stuck like this? No, I got it loose. That's what I did. Then I can just pull my fingers out. Alright, you stand back because I got to take this thing off of here. No, these would hold the K-member in place. Yep. Plumb Bob, it's a funny name. Yeah. The guy who invented it must have been named Bob. That's why they call it Plumb Bob. Yeah. All right, now we got the K-member out of the way. I can finish drilling this hole. So these top holes, they're 1/2 inch right now. I'll have to open them up to 3/4 and drop that sleeve in. It'd be hard to get. I don't have a 3/4 bit, but I do have 3/4 step bit, so I'll use that. All right, well, we're gonna have to lower this thing down so I can get to the top of the frame. See how good this unibit's gonna drill this frame out. So right here, guys, I had to take my die grinder and clean up the holes after I drilled it out to 3/4 with the unibit. Just kind of custom tune it to make those sleeves fit in there how I wanted them. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do, just kind of hold this in place and grind it down. Right there. So I'll tack them in, grind them back, and then I'll burn it in, and then have to grind it back and maybe clean up the hole. Boom, just like that. Can't even tell really I put them in there. Alright. Now we'll just do the same exact thing on the other side. Hey guys, we got them all welded in and bolted. All right, let's get this thing back up in the air and we could bolt this K-member underneath it. Alright guys, so we're going to try out this 3-inch hole saw that I bought on Amazon. See how well it works. So far it seems to be doing alright. I should probably get some lube on that thing now. Definitely a workout. Bottom out the adjusters all the way. Problem now is it compressed the strut. So I pushed on it. See if I can get it back up. That's going. There it goes. Alright guys, so I'm going to start take a couple measurements on this side so I can transfer it to the other side. Just trying to get an idea where I can locate this plate on the other side so it matches this side. So I'm just going to kind of measure halfway through the bend. We're at 2 inches. And then we're about 3/16 off the other plate. And I don't know if you're using the same ones. There's a notch in the side and a notch in the front. So you gotta make those notches in the right orientation. If you look at the instructions, it tells you what to do. When the notch on the inside goes forward and the notch on the outside goes out. This is the inside notch and this is the outside notch. So, you know, like anybody else who likes reading instructions, right? I hate reading instructions, so. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, you got to make sure that you do it. It's important. I try to skip that step too, and all it does is throw you off. So this goes up, notch forward, notch out. I'm gonna hold it up in here. Square it up, pull it off about 3/16. Measure from that curve about 2 inches. Right about there. So on the other side, what I did was I just marked 2 of these. These 2, they're a little easier to get to draw a circle around the stud. That's pretty much all I did was just circle the stud and try to drill the hole right in the middle. Which, I mean, I guess it sounds a little easier than it is, but get it as good as you can. Once I drill these 2 to the size, I can kind of half drop, I mean, not even, but just get the tip to fall in those ones and then mark the back ones and drill those out, and then the whole thing will fall through. That's the way that I did it, and it worked for me. These are those nice drill bits. Got the little step tip on them. Matco makes them. A couple other people make them too. I probably paid too much at Matco, I'm sure, but I can make payments to him. Pretty easy. Center. And drill it all the way through. So it's about right there. Good enough to where now I can sink these two holes in just a little bit, get this thing squared up so that I can mark the other holes. These back ones are kind of hard to get to, so I just, like I said, I get them the best I can. Right in here pretty good. And when you're here, and if you don't get them perfect, other side, I actually had to go in there with a die grinder and just oblong the hole a little bit to make it how I liked it, but it's pretty normal. I mean, it's not that often that you're re-drilling your own cast of camber plates. You know, normally you're just installing or maybe drilling one hole. But this car, I'm kind of doing it from scratch. It's actually the first time I've ever done this. Sometimes I feel like the stuff isn't always rocket science. You just kind of, you know, place it in the best that you think. I mean, that's all I did is I put the A-arm on, put the spindle on there, set the strut up in there, kind of got that ride height, held the strut up while it was compressed so I can bring it up a little bit. And I just threw my digital angle finder on there and set it close or, you know, neutral, and marked it up here so that I kind of gave me an idea of where I need to mount and cut stuff. And I think it worked out for me. I don't know, we'll find out in the end, but if not, we'll figure it out. All right, so now we're close. Again, I think I'm going to go in with the die grinder and just clean it up just a little bit. Mainly those back two holes that I just did. Plus they're a little boogered up because it's, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's where the factory sheet metal was kind of double layer, and those holes are winding up right in that area. First time trying this, look at this little 2-inch spin-on flapper disc. How awesome is that? I should get a plug from Benchmark Abrasives for talking about them in every one of my videos. Now let me get a better idea of which way I need to go so I'm not getting crazy on these things. Those two line up perfectly. Right in the front. Right in here. Boom. Like a glove. So on the other side, I cut this down a little bit because I do have that weld in there, and it hits the weld just a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. Enough to hold it up from going all the way through. So I'll have to do the same on this one. But I'm sure I can locate for the hole saw hole now. So on the other side, what I did is I just bolted this in, and then I can locate where I'm going to drill the hole, that 3-inch hole. Pretty sure I showed this on the other side. I may not have talked about locating it though. I didn't quite go dead center. I offset it to the back just a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Center it side to side, but head towards the back of the car just a little bit. Almost there. Oh, that went. I'll tell you guys, that thing is kind of a beast for a cheap Amazon. I mean, look at the tip on that thing. That's a nice hole saw. This up. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for tonight, Saturday night. Go inside and relax for a little bit. Come back out here in the morning and get that passenger side one finished up so I can. All right, guys. Well, hope you guys have a good night. I'll be back at it in the morning. I'll show you in there. No brakes in there yet, but got everything in there. Looking good. Looking good. So let me get to blowing all this stuff apart. I'll get some primer on there. We'll let it dry up. And then we'll go from there. All right. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, we're back. I sprayed some primer on there, just a thin coat. Slapped the camber back in there. I got the Racecraft A-arms hanging in there. So I'm just going to snug the spindles up on lower control arms. I mean, this is all just basic stuff. I'm sure you guys all know how to do this. I did add a spacer in there. Probably have to add a bigger one later, kind of like you would have to do on a Fox body when you use SN95 spindles. You got to space it out so that the cotter pin can lock into the nut on there so it doesn't back off on you. This is a part that's kind of a little tricky. A lot of it's just because there's no weight in the car. There's no motor in it. If you don't have this all lined up perfectly, it just pushes the shaft back into the strut. Then you got to line up the little spherical bearing that's inside the caster camber plate, or you can rotate this assembly and it'll kind of lean. And then let's grab the shaft and try to fish it up. And put some load on it. Not too much load though, because you don't want to teeter off the lift. If you feel on the top, you can kind of feel where it squares up. Try to get back in here. Pull that shaft up again. Thread's just about to poke through. Hopefully it stays on this spin jack for me. Ride it up a little bit. Check the lift. And she's loosening up. Rotator. Push the shaft up. It's protruding. That's a good thing. I might be able to go just a tiny bit more up. fun. So there's a tiny bit showing. You guys can see that. Let me bring you with, show you what I do. Show you what I do, and there's no weight in the car. Bonus is my mic is still on. This video is going to be way too long to post. All right, so the bolt is just starting to come through. So I need some weight. Not really. Didn't work out. It's going to. Nope. Oh, don't do that. Let's jump back down and spin that strut rod back out, because that's probably what happened, is just pushed it back down. Yep. Is it protruding? Protruding? That's such a funny word. Sometimes it's a fight. You know, I can't. I guess if I would have supported the back, I could put a little bit more tension on the front. That's what they do. Oh, yeah, there we go. See that? You guys see it protrude? The spacer. Or another thing you can do is run the nut down first. Get it to pull through a little bit more. Back it back off. Shoot. Losing it. I'm fired for that one. That was horse shit. All right. Let's try this again. Do the old bounce. Nope. Not wanting to work for me. Let's see if we can stand up. Probably not the smartest thing in the world to do. Bounce it right off the lift. Oh, there we go. Things we do. We call this fun. I don't know. I don't know if it's that fun. But I can't live without it, so it must be. All right, let's get down out of here. Hopefully the car stays on the lift. Oop. I need to order the proper coilover adjuster too for the strange coilovers. I have this old one that I had. I could probably make work. I actually had another one that I did modify. A spanner, wrench, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what happened to it though. I bet you it's around here somewhere. I just need to dig through all my stuff and find it. So I can snug these up. Just a strut bolt. Let's give it a little nice little snug. Wouldn't be crazy. Still a little wiggle in that lower A arm because I need to get the spacers right, but I got it close enough to where I'll be able to move the car for now. Kind of already need a vacation. I'll tell you guys, this YouTubing is hard work. It's not easy. Whoever thinks it is crazy because it's not easy. Just like having a job. And I have a job. So I work my job all day. And then I come home and I work this job all night. All right, so the tops are tight. Now let's see if we can run these up some. Probably not easily. Sometimes you can just spin them by hand. Just trying to tighten it up a little bit. Let's raise the car up so I don't have to bend over. Yeah, honestly, guys, I have no idea what I did. I know that I had a... I made it into a tool for something else. Cut all the teeth off of it. That's not going to help. The one that I had... I always set stuff in random spots I can never find again. It's not made for these. I don't want to mar them all up, but I think it will work a little bit. All right, guys. Well, that's about it. Got the AJE camber, 464 Fairlane, 62 to 65 on their drop-down menu, I believe is what it says. Racecraft Fox body, 11.5 inch. From here to here, 11.5 inch. Tubular lower A-arms. Fox body, strange single adjustable strut with their coilover kit. These are 14 185 springs. This is a 96 up Mustang spindle. I'm not 100% sure if I'm running that for sure or not. Mainly just because I'm thinking about getting the Racecraft ones and doing like strange drag brakes or something. The only other thing that I have to do that I haven't done is cut the spacers down for the A-arms. You can see I just kind of got them rigged up in there. What I think I might do is cut this one down just a little bit so it slides forward a little bit, so I got room to cut another little one and put it in there, because those spacers, they have a locator in them, so you want to use them on both sides. See the locator? This locator actually goes inside of the rod end to locate that. So I'll have to cut these down. Let's see if maybe I can get my dad to do it. He's a manual machinist, so he can store it in the lathe and cut them down. Maximum Motorsports 95 up 4 bolt caster camber plates. Find those on Maximum Motorsports website. So I'll just kind of give you guys a little bit of a view, and then I'll put the wheels on and put the car on the ground. See what I mean about the A-arm though? It's already pretty much, I mean, it is down a little bit, but not a ton. And I might have to turn a lot more adjustment into that coilover. I really barely put any in it. There's the hyper coil. 14185. Part number there if you guys want it. I ordered them from Strange. You can just order it all online, right on their website. Do like a decent little overview for you guys, and then we'll just threw a little bit of primer on there. I actually ran out, so I couldn't do the whole thing. I just didn't want it to be fully exposed metal. So, all right, let me get the tires on it, rims, tires, and then we'll get it down and see what it looks like. Bring it up a little bit. It's gonna be fun trying to move the car. It might stay. Oh, yeah. Actually rolls fairly nice. I mean, I hope that gives you guys a good enough idea for the front. You know, get you a good idea of, you know, what it takes, what you need. Obviously now there's going to be a little bit of a gap in the videos for the Fairlane. So I can prep for summer 2024 with the blue car. At least get my feet wet in a drag and drive. And then hopefully get the motor in this thing and maybe be able to make a one late this year or early next year with this car. I like it because it's different. So I think it'd be cool. Honestly, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'd be happy to answer anything. I try to fit everything in the video, but it's hard to remember everything while I'm trying to work and think about what I should be recording and all the stuff that I need to get. So I'm not a professional by any means, but it does seem like it's going to work out pretty good. So I think if I just dial in, tighten up that coil over a little bit more, it's going to change the ride height on this thing a little bit and bring it up a little bit more in the front. I kind of like it a little higher in the front than in the back. That's always been my preferred stance. So I never was a big fan of like real high in the back and slammed in the front. I think it looks better when it's either level or the back is sagging just a little bit over the front. So once I get the motor in there, I should be able to dial that coil over up. So again, I think that's it, guys. I'll try to put together this video. It's going to be pretty long. I don't think it'll let me do a video over an hour, and it's definitely going to be over an hour. So I thought about splitting it up into 2 videos, but I may just cut a bunch of the footage out and just post the important stuff. I do love to show like the fails and the tries and the figure out how to do stuff type of stuff, because I definitely measured this a million different ways, and honestly pulling a tape measure was the best way to do it for me. So, but all right, guys, I appreciate it. Glad you guys like the Fairlane build stuff so far. I've got some pretty good positive feedback. So we'll get back on it sometime this summer, probably as soon as I get done prepping the car. I mean, as soon as I get done prepping the blue car for summer and everything's ready to go, I'll probably get it back in this shop and start getting the motor together and put the motor in it. I'll try to post a picture of this thing stanced outside in the daylight for you. So far though, she's looking sweet. We got that Fox body suspension on her. Should work. Putting in work. Have a good one, guys.